Hello, everyone. HPJ here, and welcome to another session of course, um, another Digimon deck profile. So today's Digimon deck profile will be focusing on Sakuyamon, as Sakuyamon Miko Mode has now made her appearance in the TCG, as we know. Um, Her name change is kind of one thing that off puts me, because she's not a maid. She's supposed to be a priestess, and they didn't go with the priestess route. They want to call her Sakuyamon Maid Mode, and because of this, I'm not gonna call her Maid Mode. I am gonna call her Miko Mode because that's technically what she is. She's a priestess, not a maid. Clearly designed by the outfit, so she's not a maid at all. So yeah, we're gonna be taking a look at my variation of it, and I have a couple of little things just in case situations if you want to add to it. The only thing I don't have, and I'll probably say it when I get to the suggestion cards. This is probably the easiest deck to build, but it's probably the hardest to manage because there are a lot of twists and turns to it. So, all right, let's go ahead. Starting off with the Digitama. I'm running 4 copies of Bixmon. Then for the main deck itself, I am running 2 copies of Sakuyamon Miko Mode with 4 copies of regular Sakuyamon. These Sakuyamon are from EX2. Then we're going to break it down between the Digivolution line. 4 copies of Renamon from EX2 with 4 copies of Renamon from BT10. Then 2 copies of Renamon from BT10 with 2 copies of Cumon from BT10 and Cumon from EX2. And Talmon now from BT10 and Talmon from EXO2. So that is it for the line of Renamon and Cumon. For the Renamon line. Moving all these out of the way. Then we're gonna move on into. Hold on, there we go. Okay, so then we're gonna go into the non Supreme Online Digimon. 4 copies of Kazemon with 2 copies of Ride Greymon. Then for the tamers, of course, it is not a Supreme deck without her tamer herself, Miss Rika Nonaka. Then 3 copies of TK Party with 3 copies of Time Party. And that should round out my tamers. Then for my option cards, 2 copies of the Yellow Memory Boost, 2 copies of the Sunrise Buster, and then of course for all the plugins, 2 copies of Digivolution plugin S, 2 copies of High Speed plugin D, 2 copies of um, offensive plugin A, and then 2 copies of defensive plugin C. So that wraps up all of the cards in my main and in my deck overall. So going through the choices, of course, um, while I only have the 2 copies of Sakuya Mamiko mode, this is probably one of your biggest combo plays here, especially with your megas, is between regular Sukiyamon and Sukiyamon mode. So Miko mode can be put on top of Sukiyamon through her own ability when attacking. This Digimon may be developed into a Sukiyamon from your hand at the cost of 1, ignoring its Digivolution requirements. While on her base Digivolution effect, you can use any option card with plugin in its name that's yellow or has a cost of 5 or less from your hand without meeting the color requirements. And then you can put the option card into your security stack at the top of your security stack. So basically, when Sakuyamon swing Digivolve into her Miko mode will be able to take any object card, play it for you automatically, and then put it on top of your security stack. And most of the time, the um, option cards, the the plugins have abilities when you're. Most of them are just search for X card after revealing the top number of cards, and then add this card and that card to your hand. So it becomes very, very resourceful. Sakuyamon on her regular form, when Digivolving, you may unsecure one of your Digimon for each tamer that you have in play, and then return one option card with plugin in its name from your attached to your hand. And then during your turn, when you play an option card of 2 or more costs, When your opponent's Digimon loses minus 2 KDP. I really have rare situations with DDP reduction, but I think it's a really good thing if you do play the Sakuyamon line that does focus on DDP reduction. Just because a lot of that is going to thin to maybe cards like the Tokamon or even supply into um, the basic level line itself, just depleting the Digimon down to where there's nothing, where that Digimon is deleted, and then you gain advantages for different attacks, like gaining memory and then drawing cards. So, alright, that is the Sakuyamon. And then we're going to move on to the Renamon line. So two of each of the copies of Talmon. This Talmon has the ability that she can play an option card with plugging in its name from your hand without paying the memory cost or the color requirement. While the other Talmon is the one that drops Rukananaka from your hand without paying the memory cost. She does have the ability of that when attacking. If you have an option card with 2 or more memories, you can make one of your opponent's Digimon lose minus 2 KDP. So you can run over things, or you can plan out strategies to be bigger than stuff and then take them that way. Then we have the variation of Kyubi. So the first Kyubi here is the one that says on her Digivolution, you may reveal the top 3 cards of your deck to add one option card with plug-in in its name to your hand, seeing the rest of your deck, and then on her Inherit, when you're using this Digimon, when an option card is played with 2 or more costs, you may have one of your opponent's Digimon lose 2 KDP. So in a stack of 4 KDP if you have them under Sakuyamon. Then you have the other Cubimon, which is basically some draw power. On Digivolution, you may either return an option card with plugging in its name to your hand from your trash, or you may trash one option card with plugging in its name and then draw 2 cards. While the recovery effect is not bad, there is also the benefit of the draw 2. Excuse me, of just discarding the 1, which can be very beneficial in a deck like this because Sakuyamon, one of the big things I have with Digimon is that there's not any draw power. Or I guess with most decks there isn't draw power, so you have to rely on stuff. And I don't think as generic as it is, I think this is still very resourceful for what Digimon can do, especially because you're trying to end the plugins and the abilities of the plugins themselves. Renamon, and there's 2 variations of Renamon. So this Renamon that you can barely see, this is the one here from from EX2, and the one here to the left to the right is the one from BT10. So with Renamon, both of them are going to be searching. They're both going to reveal the top 4 cards for that. While one of them is going to add an option card with plugging in its name and 1 yellow tamer, the other is going to directly go for the Digivolution line and Rika Nanaka to put them into your hand. Then the Renamon, what says? When you play an option card with 2 or more costs, you may gain 1 memory. The other one says when you play an option card with 2 or more costs, you may have one of your opponents might gain minus 2 KDP, which stems back to the older Sakuyamon line where they depleted DP to help use benefit on match. It's a good gesture, but it's something I just did not want to focus on. I wanted to focus on just being the process to get to Sakuyamon as soon as possible. There's both of these cards I've got with, because this one here gets the tuner in the option card. This one can get the Digimon in the tamer. I said tuner. Get the tamer and help you out with the board. So yeah, that is the Renamon in Sakuyamon line. Basically, I'm running 4 of each of the Renamon, the 2 of each of the champion, so I can have space. Then the 2 of the ultimates, so that way it's, like I said, more space, more lineup, and more setup for things to come in case things are needed. So with that said, we're gonna move on to next question. I'm trying to just order these cards. Okay. So the next question of it is all the non-Sakuyamon line Digimon. Fairymon, or as we know her here, Kazemon. This is just a easy way to get your yellow tamers into a hybrid card and swing, or just get a free plus on a draw. And then you have Raspberrymon X, so you can definitely try to flash in the regular Raspberrymon, but most of these cards don't have on play effects. So it could potentially work. And then when you stack this Rise Greymon on top of the other Rise Greymon, it's additional DP reduction. Yeah, and I think it's based on each tamer that you have in play. So they're giving you some things that you like to, you know, want to run over, but you can't, so you try to use your other spells to help you with it. Alright, that's them. And then let's move on into the tamers. So, Ty and Kari. Basically here to just give you memory because the issue that this deck is going to definitely have is a security situation where your security is definitely going to be lower than your opponent. It's going to be less than 3. And your opponent potentially could be less than 3. But you want to gain as much of the memory as you can. And then the ability to suspend itself to give minus 2 KDP to your opponent's security for the rest of the turn can be very beneficial if there's things you just don't want to run into, or you know you're gonna run into something and you're not gonna like it. TK and Kari are going to join forces for this next game. A card is basically another gain memory effect as well as depleting DP from your opponent's Digimon. So easily get 3K on your turn if you choose to swing with your Digimon. But mostly they're here for the memory. Speaking of memory, there's our girl Rika Nanakas I definitely play for. Rika's ability is that when Sakuyamon, Renamon, Taomon, or Kyutimon attack, you can suspend this tamer to allow you to play one plug-in option card without paying the memory cost or the code requirement. So, which speeds up the process there with it. And of course, at the start of your turn, if you have a memory of 2 or less, you jump to 3. So something definitely in this deck needed, and thankfully it came in the form of Rika. Alright, then let's move on to the option cards. So before I go into the plugins, I think we'll start off with just the generic ones. We have the Sunrise Buster and the Yellow Memory Boost. Yellow Memory Boost is here to, of course, help us get our Digimon to our hand as soon as possible, and then you can delay it to gain 2 memory. The Sunrise Buster basically is allowing you to play a tamer card from your hand without paying memory cost, and then you can select one of your opponent's Digimon to gain minus 2 KDP for each yellow and or red tamer in play. And of course, there are a total of 3, but in multiples, there's 3, 3, and 2. So, thank you for understanding that bit of the suggestion. But I didn't want to run too many of these because, like I said, we're focusing on the plugins. And for most of this, I'm running one of each of the plugins minus the um, white plugin. So, offensive plugin A, high speed plugin D, and digivolution plugin S. So the defensive, so each of these are definitely, like I said, at 2 because of room in setup situations. The offensive plugin A is basically the security attack plus 1. The high speed plugin D is the jamming ability. So you can give one of your Digimon the ability of jammer or jamming. The la 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 Digievolution plugin S is basically a quick way to Digivolve and get to your next Digievolution line as soon as possible. While plugin Defense S is basically what you get one of your Digimon a blocker or in gaining reboot to the end of your opponent's next turn. So that basically means you can weaken one of your opponent's Digimon as soon as possible. Then you can spring in the defensive plugin C, have your Digimon reboot, and then be able to take out anything that will come your way. Do not have a blocker. Um, the other 3 are basically self-explanatory, except for the digital plugin S, which is basically draw a card and then you're allowed to Digivolve any of your Digimon if possible. Now they all have an ability where they have effect when they're in the security. Their main effect, of course, is to act into the owner's hand once they have done such. Plug in these abilities to reveal top 3 cards of your deck, and then you play one Digimon from it without paying the minimum cost. Offensive plugin A's effect is that you reveal top 3 cards of your deck to add 1 tamer card from among them to your hand, and then place that tamer in this card into your hand. High speed, plug in D, draw one card, and then add this card to your hand. Then Digivolution, plug in X, revealing the top three cards of your deck to add one Digimon card among them to your hand, and then place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So yeah, that is your plug-ins, and I'm only running two each because I think this is more efficient than running this number ratio, this number ratio. Oh god, that kid complicated. Alright. Now that I've gotten out of the deck itself, why don't we go ahead and we talk about um, some stragglers or some options things that could potentially be in the deck if you choose to. So, Rise Greymon on his own has the ability to play a chamber from your hand as yellow without paying the turn cost, but any on-play effects are negated, and it has an inheritable. While attacking with 3 or more yellow tamers, this card gains security attacks +1. Pillowmon has the ability to where your opponent cannot play Digimon by card effects. This is becoming very popular as a lot of Digimon have the ability to do that nowadays. Patamon has the ability to, on play, reveal the top 4 cards of your deck to add any number of yellow tamers among them to your hand, and the rest goes to the bottom of your deck. Then, attached to that is Calamon. Calamon, unfortunately can't really do much in terms of swinging. However, Calamon's unique ability is that when not Talmon, Terriermon, Gilmon, Renamon, or Itmon are already in play, you can play this Digimon by reducing its memory cost by 2, so making it big for 1 drop. And then when your Digimon Digivolves, you assume this Digimon to gain 1 memory, draw 1 card, and give that selected Digimon plus 3k DP. Yeah, that is a lot, trust me. We know. But it is something to mention too in case you wanted to figure around with some other cards within it. And I think the only other thing to talk about is maybe the blue card. Yeah, there is a blue card for the card game. And it's very meh. So I don't think anyone should have to write. It's not a plug-in. It's just a regular Digivolution card. There's really nothing special about it. So what it does is that if you have a Tamer play, you can play this card without paying all the plug-in cards. Reveal top 5 cards of your deck, and then you may Digivolve one of your Digimon that's non-white among them without paying the memory cost. And if you don't, add that card to your hand and put the rest of the bottom deck in order. So it's basically just a cheap search, but off of um, 3 instead of 4. So it's a thing. So yeah, it's a very mid tier card, but it's not something I would definitely run people into. But this is something in case you want to opt into a quick Digivolution. So with that said, then I'm gonna wrap up the video here because that was basically it for Miko mode. So, thanks everybody for coming and watching today's video. If you have any suggestions on some additional cards you suggest to people who are getting ready to play this deck, want to play this deck, and have some interest in it, let us all know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel as it helps out tremendously. And also hit the notification bell so you guys get informed when I upload more content to the channel. And with that all, and social media links are in the description box below. So if you want to interact with me on social media, you definitely can. So with that said, thanks everyone for watching. I hope to catch you guys next time. And HPJ signing out. Take care.